pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
3.0 is roll call school board members. Everybody's here. Let's move directly into 4.0 communications and reports. Let's go to administration and department head reports, and let's move directly to green wave recognition. Superintendent Comus.
Well, that's going to get delayed. Our two AAA winners were not able to attend tonight, so they will be coming to either the next meeting or the one after. So Caleb and Bryn, we'll look forward to recognizing them. Caleb, Mr. Lohr was down and was able to attend the banquet and also see Caleb on the floor during the state basketball tournament. So looking forward to having those two young people come in. As far as other, what's that? Once again, it was rigged. Oh, well, it's very impressive to get there. So very impressive. As far as legislative updates go, it's been busy, right? There's still a lot of money on the table, but a lot of mandates, and it's going to really be interesting to see what all sticks and what does not. So I sent you some updates from the MASA, and from MREA will come out tomorrow, but there's a written one there from the Principals Association. They all kind of have their different little take on things. So, and I also shared an email from MASA. So I don't have any real new things to report other than the governor and the leader of the House and the Senate. They agreed on targets. There were certain things that didn't get supported as well as others, but it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out. There's a lot of money, like I said, a lot of money on the table, but also a lot of mandates that is going to eat up a lot of things, especially for school districts. As of right now, I'm scheduled to go down at the day at the Capitol, which would be head down tomorrow towards the end of the day and go Wednesday. I have a potential conflict, so I might not be able to go, but I'll keep you updated. And if I'm not able to, I'll make sure that I get a report from an area superintendent that's down there.
Mike, before you move on, just for school board members, hopefully everybody got, I think it was last Friday, we get MSBA emails daily, but there's quite a bit of legislation that can affect the way school boards do business and really affect our school budgets. So I'd ask if you guys haven't read that, read through it, and there's a portal right on there that you can click on, and it goes to our reps. But there's some things that we really need to watch that could affect staffing issues and all a gamut of things. So yeah, there are some bills that are really I would say concerning as far as not just the money part of it, but also just staffing. And it's going to be difficult. So that I know every school leadership group that's been down at the Capitol has been expressing their opinions, but I don't know if it's getting any traction from us as far. I mean, there are some things that are going to be difficult to implement. I'll just say that for Minnesota school districts. Strategic plan information. So our strategic plan is set to expire from 2018 to 2023. I did visit with a rep from MSBA in January about, continuing that process and basically contracting with them to start that. It would be a renewal. They felt that, we have a lot of the things in place already, so it wouldn't take the time or when we did that back 5 years ago. I guess my recommendation would be to probably wait till you have a new superintendent hired and make sure you have all those things in place, and probably start the process maybe in July or August or into the fall. It's not like it's an emergency or anything, but I just wanted to give you an update on that. If you want to get it started right away, we can sure do that. But I think right now you have some other things that you want to take care of, and but I just wanted to let you know that they have been communicated with, and they know that we would like to be involved with that process again. And that is all I have from my report. And I don't think we have any reports tonight from principals or community ed director, unless I'm missing something. I don't have anything, so roll right into committees if you would.
Okay, negotiations right now, the contract, the paraprofessional group, that contract is up for approval tonight. So recommending that. It's been a long process, but a good process. And there are a lot of new things there, and that contract looks a lot different than it did before we started. So hopefully that'll be approved tonight. And we've already started the process of trying to put together things for back pay, and we will work through that as quickly as we can, but also we want to make sure it's accurate. So we will take care of that as soon as we can, once that is approved. As far as the administrative assistants, I have a couple of things I need to go through, and I'll talk to a member or two of the negotiations committee just to confirm some things, as well as one non-group contract. Meet and confer, I was contacted by the head of the teacher meet and confer group that there were no issues to meet with and discuss with the board at that time. So that we'll have chance for that down the road here, but that meeting was postponed because there was no need to meet. And then long-term facilities maintenance and facilities, the building administrators and I met with Ron Heskin to start that planning process of putting together a wish list. And many of the things are from last year's wish list, but we just want to continue there. We would really like to share that information. And Mondays and Fridays are probably the best time for Amanda Scanson because she's on that committee. But she also said she would change her schedule if we needed her to be at the meeting. So if Lynn and Lindsay and Eric, if you guys can take a look and let me know what's the best time to meet, just so we can post that and get that meeting scheduled. And Ron would also be in attendance, and Amanda Scanson. But we'd like to get rolling on that so we can get some of those projects approved for the summer. And that is all I have.
All right, moving on to 5.0 consent agenda. Uploaded in the board book. Anybody want to pull anything off the consent?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
All in favor of approving that consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.0 is opportunities for citizens to speak on items not on the agenda. I have none.
There were no requests.
None. To approve the agenda. 7.1. So before we get to this, if we want to add send an email to the board members as some third direction that we want to reaching out to MSD regarding that. In addition to these from other board members, so we reach out to a couple other BWP and Associates and School Exec Connect. They had nothing from BWP and Associates and School Exec Connect. So either it's the packet that everybody got from MSBA, it's the amount is lower than we have to act on a board, but instead to be transparent, you guys can put it on the agenda, we can have it, the agenda just to engage MSBA. I have some things that I want to talk about at that time, or was talk about in comments regarding study plan and kind of information for this as a whole. We did that, but my recommendation is going to be to go with MSBA because I haven't heard from anybody else. So I guess I'll just open it up to the board before we adopt the agenda. So add it to the agenda.
I motion to add it to the agenda. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I would agree, yeah.
Second. Okay, so, all right, motion by Holwiger, second by Berkowitz, to add, basically approving MSBA to be our superintendent search firm. Okay, so that'll be. We'll call them.
Oh, Brandon, I don't think your mic's on.
We're talking all over here. That'll be 8.7. So Nancy, did you grab that? All those in favor of adding it to the agenda signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, so that motion carries of adding it to the agenda. So now we're gonna go back and we're gonna approve the agenda with the addition. So I'm gonna make the motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the superintendent search firm.
I'll second.
Any more questions or discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the agenda as uploaded in the board book, as well as the addition, signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, 8.0 is district business. The first one is 8.1. So this is to approve the 2022-24 MSEA paraprofessional contract. I'm on that negotiation committee. Eric's on it and Lynn is on it. Lynn came on towards the end in the new year. So past board member Foss was on it. So a lot of work was put in on both ends, and I'm happy that they were able to vote and approve the contract as uploaded in the board book. So I'm going to make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All right. So questions or discussion on it? How it went? was a very tedious process. It is, it's a large jump. And I think those on the committee would certainly echo that, but it's a well-deserved jump, and hopefully it's also going to help us retain and recruit our paraprofessionals. We've sat at this board table several times and asked the administration what's happening with the paras, or how can we get you more paras? So hopefully this is it's gonna help. Not gonna say it's gonna solve everything, but hopefully it helps. So Eric?
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up well.
All right, so all those in favor of approving the para contract signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed?
I have to abstain. No,
Okay,
I know, I don't like that, but I am.
we're good. Okay, 8.2 is to approve the revised FY 23 budget. Amanda here?
Amanda's not here tonight. She was unable to attend. The information was shared with the board at the last meeting. You know, it does reflect, I'll just look at the general fund because that's the one that we have the most control of. It shows a deficit of just over $711,000. And we kind of knew that heading in, but with the reduction in students, this is conservative. You know, we have taken a very conservative approach here. So we're hoping that we have more revenue when it's all said and done, and fewer expenses. We also do have some, ESSER dollars still available that we can work through. We want to make sure we have money in place for next year. For example, those mental health positions that were added this year, we have them in the budget with the ESSER funds for this year and next year. But if something were to come to fruition where a bill is passed at the state level that supports the increased mental health needs, that would help us, and we could move some of those other funds to cover, for example, deficits this year. So there's some room to work there, but we do want to make sure that we're transparent and letting people know that, there's an opportunity that we'd be going backwards this year. And it would be the first time in several years. So
Does this account for the recent contract negotiations?
I believe so.
What was cut to adjust the budget? That's what I didn't see anywhere.
We haven't really made any cuts to this. I mean, it's hard to make cuts right now during the school year. We'll be making reductions. We'd like to do that through attrition if possible. So we're still looking at some ways that we can make some reductions for next year, but we'll see how things all shake out here too as we get closer to year end. I don't want to create a sense of panic or anything, but I just want people to understand that this isn't the first time we passed a negative budget, and then sometimes we're fortunate to come out on the top side in the black.
All right, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, any additional questions or discussion on the revised 23 budget? All right, all those in favor of approving the revised FY 23 budget signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.3 is to approve the 23-24 school district calendar. So I'll let Superintendent Colness talk, and then those of you that are on the committee.
Yeah,
What's yours?
the draft was shared with everybody at the last meeting and for you to review. I think I went through everything there. There are some adjustments in there as far as when parent teacher conferences are, how that there's attached to the MAA break and also President's Week break. And there are 4 storm days built in. But yeah, I really appreciated the input from the committee, and I thought everybody worked well together.
Committee members, got anything? Like maybe a motion?
I'll move to approve the 2023-2024
Sorry.
school calendar.
I'll second.
All right, questions or discussion on the calendar? Thank you, board members that sit on that committee, certainly appreciated. So all those in favor of approving the 23-24 school district calendar signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.4 is to approve the mandatory policy 534 update. Superintendent Colness?
Yep. So when we went through our food service audit, there was a line in there that needed to, and we adjusted it to make sure it was covering the practices that we were doing here at East Grand Forks. We had not been providing a supplemental meal. Basically, we haven't been doing that. Our children were getting the regular meal, and that language was in the policy, so we needed to get that updated. So this is at the recommendation, or actually I wouldn't say recommendation, it would be mandate from the food service auditor that we needed to make the adjustment to the policy. And we had just changed it in August, but then the law changed where we had to do that in November. So we're just updating the policy to be in compliance.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Questions or discussion on the mandatory policy?
I have one question. In the policy I was reading, it states that people are contacted. Do we pay for a service that contacts people? Or how do we get contacted? Or how do people
Letter.
get contacted?
Right now we have, Jason, we do have it set up that it's, we'll be making phone calls through Thrill Share.
Okay, at what balance does it call people? Zero? You have to be a negative? Okay.
And that was a system when we transferred over to a new food service program that we lost, that now we have back in place. So, and we
Okay.
have been also sending letters,
yeah.
quite a few letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but part of it was the software, the communication piece with Region One, Thrill Share.
Well, used to be Region One.
Yes.
Remember with Pay schools, so Pay school had to send them information over to our aptitude, which is a call. And so getting that set up took a little bit of time,
Mm-hmm.
but now it is set up. It should be running every Wednesday and Sunday, I believe.
And then when did that start? Like this school year or?
No.
No, it's been a work in progress. So we do have it in place now, ready to go.
2 weeks ago. Isn't that bulk?
Oh, okay. So just recently?
Yeah.
Has it been? Okay,
Correct.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion on the policy? All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.5 is to approve the advertising of summer maintenance positions. I guess I can speak to this. It's something that we do every year, and it looks like we're continuing to do the same that we did last year, advertising between $15 and $20 an hour and letting the director at discretion or whomever's hiring summer positions to make that decision. So
How many positions is it?
Yeah.
I think it varies, just the maximum number of hours is the 2,080.
Yeah, that's as a total. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that it was the same motion that was passed last year. And it could depend on how many staff members Ron might need this summer because of other openings. So, but the max would be 2,080 hours of summer help, and the salary range would be $15 to $20.
Typically been four or five, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
and and sometimes they can't work all the way through. They might only be able to work 4 weeks, and he pieces that together to try to have enough extra staff on hand to get things ready.
Do we usually have the long-term facilities meetings, have the summer projects meeting first to know how many people he needs? Or-
Not all the time, no.
Okay.
No, not all the time.
Okay.
And it could be also based on what some summer projects would be, the need.
Do we currently use some of the maintenance staff that we have on hand to fill those positions, or is that above and beyond what we need for like mowing lawns?
This is above and beyond. Yeah. A lot of times our maintenance people take their vacation in the summertime,
Mhm.
and so we need to have people to fill in and work on the buildings. And you have construction projects, you might need more help. So this just gives him a ceiling. It doesn't mean that he's going to max it out.
I'll make a motion to advertise for the summer maintenance positions.
I'll second.
any other questions or discussion? All those are in favor of approving advertising for summer maintenance positions signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. 8.6 to adopt education of the homeless student policy and dispute resolution procedure. So typically I'd make a motion and then a second, and then we'd have questions or discussions. This is just coming to us.
I'd like to. table it, yeah.
Okay, so I
Should
think.
we have Jennifer's, if Jennifer's available, and we use the microphone.
Yeah,
there,
I think
Jennifer.
so. Just for purposes of transparency, what I'd like to do is maybe Jennifer, if you you can just share with us what this is, and most likely, I've already heard it from one board member, we're gonna table it till
Sure.
next board meeting, but if you could just fill the.
Sure. So best practices, best policy, is that we do things as an educational institution to make sure that our kids experiencing homelessness don't have any barriers to education, okay? And what's happened over the last year and a half is we've really seen an increase in students experiencing homelessness, which prompted MDE to just kind of take another look. So basically, because we're doing such a great job, They're doing a desk audit of us to say, hey, where are you at with your programming and are you doing best practices? So in that process, in our conversation with MDE, there was discussion about policy and bringing that to our school board, even though we're doing best practices. And we have gone from 6 identified students to 32 in the last year and a half. So those policies and procedures, the procedures that we've done at the school with the trainings I've done, the communication with principals, all of that has been best practices, but we don't have a policy in place. And so it's important that we put a policy in place to make sure that even though we're doing the right thing, we don't have a policy to back that up at this time. This is a federal law, so it doesn't change from state to state. So the protections for kids experiencing homelessness, the discussion regarding how we enroll students, the breaking down of barriers for students, it remains consistent throughout all the school districts because it's a federal law that trumps any kind of state discussion. So it's a matter of just making sure that policy is there, knowing that procedures are best practices and that we are doing that here in East Grand Forks, and we have been doing that. So that was the reason it was brought before you, and we had a deadline of April 18th. So there was a little bit of urgency on my part to bring this forward. So talking with Mr. Colness and Ms. Driscoll about getting this in front of you as soon as possible was important to me. Feedback from around our region is that we are the shining star in terms of identification and what we're doing in terms of services, and I'd like to continue for it to be that way.
Superintendent Colness, do we need 3 readings of this one?
I would say if it's law, we probably would not have to.
So with that being said, I did hear in my ear to table it. You're gonna hear on the next agenda item that we're gonna have a few meetings before, we're gonna have more meetings before April 18th.
Sure.
So if somebody does want to make a motion to table it, we certainly.
I'll make a motion to table it till the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay,
And I have
questions or discussion? Now we can start.
I have a
discussion.
question. So you said it was federal law. Does that mean it's pretty much a copy and paste, or did you guys come up with this policy?
What the McKinney-Vento homeless education law requires is really about standard practices at schools and regarding enrollment, transportation, and things like that. So some of those things are kind of covered under our larger policies, but it's not really targeted specifically to homeless. So the law, the way it stands, and the policy, the way it stands is pretty robust across all districts. They're all going to look about the same because there's specific targeted things that were, for instance, like one would be you want to enroll a young person experiencing homelessness fairly quickly. We still have enrollment procedures and policies, but we never want to stop a family who's experiencing homelessness from enrolling in our school. It doesn't mean that we don't have those same immunizations, for example. We're still going after those and we're getting school records and things like that, but we're not waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks to have a young person sit at a hotel and not enrolling. So that's one of immediate enrollment is one of the safeguards under the policy. Transportation, making sure we're transporting kids. That's not an issue here because we have transportation that's available and we do that very quickly. Other barriers to academics, extracurricular, things like that we're breaking those barriers down. If there's things that are in place that are difficult for a young person, backpacks, school supplies, things like that, we're providing that to them. So that's just another part of the law. So the law is very consistent across all districts across the United States.
So on the policy itself, you look at the references, is this best practices that was put together by MSBA, or you just grabbed our other policies and referenced those?
The, what are we referring to?
So the actual.
Oh.
The actual
the
policy.
The actual policy actually was there was some discussion over the last couple, 2, 3 years in Grand Forks. And so I was a big part of how we got the policy written and moved through to our school board. So we took that and then we looked at some of our Minnesota school districts, all same language. And then we just put that into place. Yeah, yep.
Board members, so there's a motion on the table, as well as a second to table this until the next board meeting. So all those in favor signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. My suggestion would be to reach out to Jennifer Soraya, or the superintendent, but Mike's probably gonna pass you on to them anyway, if we do have questions regarding it. So, thank you both
Yep.
for putting it together. We'll get it through the,
Yep.
The board agenda.
More than happy
before the
to,
18th.
for any board member ever to contact me regarding anything to do with those at-risk students that we're serving here in East Grand Forks. Happy and willing to discuss any of that with you at any time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 8.7 is the one that we added, so I am going to make a motion to hire MSBA as our superintendent search firm effective immediately. Per the proposal that was given to the board.
I'll second.
Okay, now we can have questions and discussion. And Nancy, I'll get you the proposal, Nancy, so we can add it to everything, but
Do we upload that then? So like everyone can see it?
Yep.
Where does it get uploaded to? Like the documents
well, it'll go on the actual
on the board book for like public? Okay.
So a little bit about this as a let all board members know. Originally, I was just gonna reach out to MSBA. Per discussion with other board members, felt that it was prudent to look at a couple other firms. There's not a lot of firms. There's a lot of firms that look for people. They don't necessarily offer, I don't think, what we're looking for. If you look through that 39-page document, MSBA offers a lot. They're kind of the cat's meow right now, at least in the state of Minnesota. That doesn't mean that if I end up getting another one of these proposals that we can't go hand in hand with each one, but I think it's imperative that we get this process going as soon as possible. Mike had talked a little bit earlier about strategic planning, things of that nature. Part of this is as soon as I sign the contract, we'll engage. They actually have a rep, Lee Warren, who's up from this area. They're ready to set a meeting with the board as soon as next week. They'll call it the planning meeting. Looking at that proposal, there's my hair.
Fancy little timeline. I think it's
Yeah,
page 18.
They have a very extensive timeline.
17.
I did have a Zoom meeting with them prior to this proposal. They're very confident in the pool that it's currently out there. 2 years ago, we did talk with them on some other issues. They did not have quite the pool that they felt was appropriate for a lot of schools. One example is Crookston went with these folks, didn't get a lot of applicants. They reopened it free of charge per the contract. We had 11 more applicants, and what they're telling me right now is there's quite a few applicants out there. So that's why I'm suggesting moving forward with this, and then we can talk in board member comments on the next meeting. But so let's first vote on that. What? Want to read my motion to me, Nancy? Please. Yep. Yeah, just. Yep, I got, well, I shouldn't say the contract. I have the proposal. Yeah. I would, no, we're
So
gonna
we're approving the
approve it right
proposal.
now. 'Cause I'm gonna sign it in the morning, so. All right, any other questions regarding that? And we can talk once we get to comments as well, so. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, motion carries. So let's move on to 9.0, payment of claims and accounts. Got to pay the bills.
I'll move to approve the payment of K-12 bills numbers 124551 through 124606 in the amount of $334,668.95.
One second.
All right, questions and discussion on the bills that were uploaded in the board book? All right, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, motion carries. 10.0 is board member comments. Eric,
No comments tonight?
Josh, got anything?
No.
No, I think it's gonna be a busy couple of months for us, but no comments.
Amanda?
Fantastic. I have a whole bunch. So, the MSBA, proposed search. I thought it was really cool. One thing that anyone who's watching or listening, one part of the plan is to have stakeholder input, which I think is super important. They offer surveys to be sent out. They offer group meetings, et cetera, so that everyone can give the board their opinion so that we can find the best superintendent for a district. So I think that's super cool. I spent the weekend reading and analyzing the proposal. And on a second note, I've been volunteering at New Heights once a week for the lunches. It's been super rewarding and I really like it. I think it's helping me as a board member make better decisions as I get to experience, even if it's limited, as some of the staff get to it in the schools. So hopefully I can start to offer my help to other schools and classrooms as my schedule allows, but I think it's super awesome that I can do that and be able to help the board make decisions that way. That's all.
Lynn?
Yeah, I think it is gonna be a busy couple months here. I think it'd be really good for us as a board to sit down and talk about what we want strategically and what we want structurally as we're going into this as well. Just throwing that out there for a discussion point, but interesting to see what'll happen. That's probably it for tonight.
Okay, well, I'm gonna jump on to what Lynn described. We heard at the beginning, there's a couple of things. Superintendent suggested waiting on till the end. So this is not only, MSBA will not only provide the superintendent search, but we'll end up having a planning meeting with them. I'll talk to them in the morning as soon as next week. Part of that planning meeting is laid out in the proposal. It goes March through late April, and we kind of adjust on what we want them to do. But I think going into that discussion, Lynn, about where we want to go, move forward as a district.
Yeah.
Part of that is we've talked, several of us have talked about kind of the structure of the school district, how it's currently structured, how we want to move forward. I guess my intent is at that planning meeting, we ask those questions. It's not only that they're here to provide a superintendent search, but they're here to help us with things that we'd like to see, or at least we can bounce some things off of them to see if they have additional services laid out within the proposal. There's several different services. I mean, it even gets down into, as soon as candidates are there, we can pay them to run background checks and all sorts of things. So they have a lot of different services that they do provide. And I think that's the place that we at least start that discussion. Number one, help us run a superintendent search process, but number two, help us with the strategic direction of not only the board, but how we want to see the district move forward in the future. So I think it's the right firm to go with. Like I said, if I do get something from those other firms, I'll certainly send it out to the board. And if the board feels that, hey, we need to have two of them going at the same time, by all means. I think this is the best bang for our buck, at least from what I can see and what they're offering. So, but we're going to be busy. So with that being said,
I want to piggyback on what you just said
Yeah,
really fast. They offer within the proposal a class to look for superintendents and questions to ask. I was reading and it said it was like a $1,400 value, but if we sign a proposal, then we get that as board members free of charge if we want to do that as well.
Yeah, and I think there's so much value in it.
Mhm.
We can, I don't think we need to make a motion tonight because we'll have so many meetings engaged with them. And those will be meetings, since we're talking about that, we can make a motion at those meetings if we want to add on. So let's say at the planning meeting, they say, yeah, you can do this. And we rebut and say, well, how much? $500. I mean, those are easy things. We just want to make it transparent to the community, transparent to our staff and all of us up here. But first order of business is, when does everyone want to meet next week? Give me a couple dates and or times. Doesn't have
Is
to
this
be
a
on a
public,
Monday.
is it a public meeting?
Yep, there'll be public meetings. We'll have this one first as a special meeting next week. There's a couple other things on the docket that may be going onto that special meeting. There's a policy discussion from one of the other board members that we may have to get some input from the superintendent that I may also throw on that special meeting. We just have to remember that when we have a special meeting, we only act on things that we're
That
talking
thing
about.
on the agenda, sure.
Doesn't have to just be one thing. We may have a couple things on there, but that's the only thing that we can act on.
Okay.
So when I did talk with MSBA, they said, as soon as you call us and say you're good to go, we'd like to come next week. So.
Do Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Okay.
You don't wanna have it on Friday.
Probably not on a Friday. Tuesdays are really good for me. Mondays and Wednesdays get pretty tricky, but depending on the time.
Other board
Flexible.
members? Flexible?
Yep.
We have appointments in Rochester, but I can reschedule them.
At the beginning of the week or? the end of the week?
Literally, well, because it takes me 7 hours to get there.
Yeah.
So I leave Monday afternoon. If everything goes well, we'll be home probably Wednesday, but I can reschedule.
Well, we can, and these are also, I guess one thing I should have brought forth is they asked me, would you like to do it that first meeting via Zoom? I spoke for the board and I said, no, if we're gonna go with you guys, I want the first meeting. with
In
you
per- No,
guys."
yeah, I can
you guys
change it. I
in-
can
in
fix
person.
things, yeah.
But we can also, that's no big deal if somebody is traveling, if we come up with a time, and somebody is traveling, we just have to know that, when we put the advertisement out. or,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Call
No.
for it and just say,
Mhm.
we could say, hey, Amanda's gonna be joining by.
The Zoom.
So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So what I'm hearing here is I will just reach out. Josh, how's your schedule flexible?
I should be able to make work as long as it's later in the evening.
Okay. So we'll try, maybe I'll just say, let's look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. My guess is they'll probably want to do it Tuesday or Wednesday, but I will try to get an answer as soon as possible tomorrow. I'll let the board know, and then I'll also reach out to Mike and Nancy so we can get it posted as
Perfect.
soon as.
What, how many, we need 5 days notice?
No, we only need
Three.
3. We only
Oh,
need
for a
3 for the
special.
special.
Okay.
And then it'll be on the agenda. It'll be a standing item on the agendas moving forward.
Okay.
But this first one, we need to have a special one. And any of the training that takes place in between there, we'll have to call those special ones. But MSBA will walk us through that. At least that's what they told us. So we'll learn more in the first meeting that we can. Any other questions regarding it?
Mhm.
So we're gonna be busy, but certainly, it's for the good of the district. So, that's all I have right now. Hopefully, snow starts melting, so some of those outside spring sports can start, but, my guess is they'll be going on, quite some time after, the school year. So Superintendent Colonus, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just a couple things. First of all, you heard about the audits we've had through homelessness. We've had a food service audit. We also had a surprise visit by OSHA about a week ago. So I don't know if East Grand Forks is just up on the docket this year for, having people come through, or they're just getting out of their offices again, but we've been busy with that, and that does take up quite a bit of time. And like OSHA, they don't give you any warning. They're just gonna be there, and so we'll go through that information. The other thing would be is we had a great day of professional development. I want to thank all the people who presented today. I attended the 3 sessions in the morning in the PAC. And I thought everybody did a great job. And I know Jennifer, you were busy working with bus drivers and maintenance workers and everything on SEL, paraprofessionals. And Gary Yates was here working with the K-5 staff on reading, and it was just a really good day. So I'd like to thank everybody who helped plan that, and it was good. So that's really all I have. But spring sports, it's gonna be condensed because the end is, they have those dates set already, and we'll be playing, trying to cram 20 baseball games in 15 days or something. But it's pretty frustrating when you're a spring coach and a spring athlete. There's a lot of snow out there. So that's all I have.
11.0, so the next official board meeting is scheduled for April 10th, again, at 5:30, but we will have one, between there and we'll be reaching out via, I'll either call everybody, or email everybody.
Perfect.
12.0 is to adjourn the meeting, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll make a motion.
Make a
Oh,
motion.
kidding.
Amanda's-
I'll second that.
Perfect.
Any discussion on adjourning the meeting? All right, all those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?